Wandering about the house, just being awesome, like she usually is. I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to say hello and do a little. Oh, is that? Look who it is. From yon hither comes a Melissa.
Hello, everyone.
There we go. So are you going to moderate as well?
Yeah, my computer's dead though, so it's going to take a couple seconds of charging.
Did it die in your arms? Should we bury your computer?
No, it's not all the way dead. It's just at the.
No, not all the way
Just
dead.
on the brink.
Well, the holiday season is upon us, and in our family we do celebrate Christmas, and we're gearing up. We've got you can see the tree kind of
Oh yeah.
poking out, peeking out from the corner over there. We have it in the front room by the piano. So we've got some of our Christmas decorations set up. I think if we move a little bit, you can kind of see there's some stuff on top of the piano. The fire is going. Thought we'd offer a different view this time. Usually we look out the window, and I thought, you know what? Let's point the camera in a different direction today. So hello to everybody. We'll let everybody get a chance to log in here. We've got a couple hundred folks so far. We'll see where we get to. Hey from Ireland. Well, hey back to you. Well, it's hiding behind the corner right now.
I mean, right now it's hiding.
The Christmas tree looks like it's stalking us.
Usually it looks very full and but this is the first time that we've been able to decorate around the whole tree.
Oh, and I see my sister Heather is on.
Hello, Heather.
She has a big threatening wrench on her when it pops up for Heather, because she's a moderator. You get a blue wrench when you're a moderator. But with my sister, it feels more threatening. She's a kicker and a poker and a pincher.
That's the sister.
When I see Heather's wrench, I'm like, uh-oh, she's gonna, not that she'd whack me super hard with it, I don't think, but that she'd menacingly keep me in line like an older sister should. Oh, she's giving me the crying face emoji right now.
Was it cry laughing emoji?
It was crying laughing, yeah.
Well, that's different.
I'm excited for the holiday season for a number of reasons. I don't know. I think, Melissa, I would probably say that we feel the same way, that as we've gotten older, it's really not about the gifts at all in our house.
It's very true.
There are honestly sometimes a few special things that will make their way into our lives around the holiday season. But the thing I'm most looking forward to this season is getting together with family. It sounds cliched.
But I think as you get older, though, you realize that's what's actually important. There's that at the end of the day is what's most important. The people that...
WV Chad says hello from prison. Well, hello back at you. Hopefully you get to visit with some loved ones over the holidays as well, yourself. Just getting a chance to visit with family. The things like that really matter the most right now. And Melissa's getting her laptop ready. Oh, he said joking. You never know. I don't know what people are or are not allowed to do in a prison. I'm sure they have like a computer area. You never know. So it could be like they've got their 30 minutes break or whatever and they're watching us. I'd feel bad. I feel like I have to provide more entertainment if that was the case. Maybe this Christmas, though, I want to do something nice for my mom. Of course, I like to make her. So I can't say what I'm going to do because she might watch it. She will likely watch this video later.
Yeah.
But maybe, Mom, if you are watching, I can convince you for a tray of haystacks. You guys know what those are? Let me know if you guys know what haystacks are. I'll let you answer. Other than the ones that are out in the field, because somebody's gonna be like, harvest time, you stack your hay out in the field.
I am still teaching if that was for me. Debbie.
Is it? Okay, I'm not even sure what haystacks are. I think there's chocolate on top, and I think it's like, is it coconut?
It's not on top. It's a mixture.
It's a mix of I think chocolate and coconut or cocoa or something. Yeah. Anyway, and you put it on, my mom always has them like on wax paper or something.
I think it's oatmeal, cocoa.
Is it oatmeal? I thought it was like coconut.
Yeah, it's coconut. It's delicious.
Crushed noodles, that doesn't sound right. I mean,
it looks kind of like noodle cookies.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to those. Those are always a nice seasonal thing. My grandma all the time. Heather says, what kind of entertainment would you provide differently for prison? Wow. I don't know. I don't know, Heather. You set me up for that one.
I guess we're starting off like that this time.
Mind you, if it's a guy in prison, I'm sure the last thing I'll see is another dude.
Oatmeal, coconut, chocolate. I knew it.
Yeah. So we are gearing up for the holiday season, and Debbie says, "No, Alex, no." Yeah. There you go.
Oh my gosh.
What Christmas favorite foods are you looking forward to? In our family, the desserts always stand out. I don't know if my mom did rum balls. Popcorn balls. My dad would always ask for popcorn balls at Christmas for my mom. And he'd ask like this, honey, you know your popcorn balls are my favorite. And he'd wink his eyes a lot. And my mom would be like, okay.
What's a rum ball?
I don't know. Sounds enticing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might have had a rum ball. Are those like the little doughy kind of
unless that's
rum
like
flavored things? Oh, nuts and bolts. Yeah. No, I'm not doing keto right now. No, I've been off the wagon for a bit. I've got to probably get back on that again.
Don't do it before Christmas because that'll just...
Yeah, that's a bad time to do it. But I mean, limiting carbs isn't such a bad thing.
I'm in Montreal. What's your weather like? It's getting worse. It's supposed to be minus 42 tonight.
Laura says all the balls at Christmas. Oh, Laura, and your sassy sense of humor. You could sing for them and us. Nuts and bolts, yeah, nuts and bolts. You know, we used to have bugles. Did you do where you are? Do you have bugles? They look like a little cone, like a little bugle, and they're corn. I think they're made out of corn, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And they had cheese flavored ones. They discontinued them in Canada.
I wonder if that's true.
Well, that's what I heard. I heard the bugles were discontinued in Canada.
We used to put them on our fingers and make them look like little, they look like little witch hats, but they look like claws.
Like little claws.
And then you eat them up.
Yeah. But if they are discontinued in Canada, that's like a mainstay of putting in nuts and bolts. So I don't know what are we going to do?
We never make nuts and bolts. Like, I think I've made them once in my life.
Being a car guy, I would be happy if somebody actually gave me a bowl of actual nuts and bolts. I'd be like, cool, I'll take these to the garage. I can always use nuts and bolts for things.
Heather said I'll bring some. Yes.
Yeah. Minutes before this live chat started, I was out in the garage trying to put I had my Citroen up in the air, my SM, it was floating. There will be an update video on what's been happening with the cars for those people who have been asking for that. I'll do a little update on that soon because I've been changing things up around here a fair bit. But my friend Scott, I don't know that Scott watches my channel or not, but he's a much bigger car guy than I am. I think he's got something like 22 cars or something like that. One day, maybe I'll see if he'll let me do like a tour of his collection. It's like Jay Leno stuff happening over there. But he also is a mechanic and knows how to work on Rolls Royces and Ferraris and Porsches and stuff. So he's a good friend to have too. I didn't become a friend with him because of those skills. Incidentally, I became a friend with him because he was a customer at our first store we owned called Axel Toys, and he sold me some of his old childhood toys. And I ended up going to his house, and then we got talking, and he'd come in and visit with his wife, and we got to be friends. And that was over 20 years ago now. Oh, was it about almost?
Almost, because
he was one of our first customers.
Yeah.
So that would have been about 20 years ago that I've been friends with him. Yeah, time goes by. But he put new tires on my rims for me, and I was putting them on the car and trying to get it back on the ground again. And I learned it's not an easy feat putting tires on that car because of the way the back end is built. I had fun for sure.
Is Dr. Pepper discontinued? No.
No.
We just had Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, Dr. Pepper's still around. You got to trust his soda. The guy had to go to medical school to make his soda.
I mean, anytime I've had a doctor, the amount of caffeine in that thing, maybe it's the sugar, I don't know. But every time I'm sure I'm having a heart attack because the heart is beating too fast.
I had promised in the description here that I was going to tell a story, and I'm going to tell you a true story. And it has to do with the Citroen, which I was just talking about. So for those of you that have just started watching the channel, I also do stuff with old cars, and anyway, you'll get the idea. For those of you that have been with the channel for a bit, you'll know this is no surprise that I have old vehicles. And more lately, I've been inclined to find the rare, more unusual stuff, the kind of, stuff that you're not going to see on the road every day. That's what I'm looking for. And so I ended up with a Citroen SM, which is a Maserati engine Citroen. Now, as you can imagine, it's not as easy to find parts for a car like this because there are no dealerships for that car in town. If you want to find somebody that has parts, actually, there's another YouTube channel called Cold War Motors. Scott, a very nice guy. I've known Scott for a number of years now. Scott has a little cachet of spare parts, used stuff. But when it comes to needing new parts, there's only a handful of places you can go to. And not surprisingly, some of these places are in France. I was now you know.
I was only listening at this point. I'm glad you're sharing this story.
Don't spoil it because it gets better. I'm about to share with you possibly the worst postal delivery incident in the history of postal delivery incidents ever. Now
For
you can,
us, at least.
it's got to be up there. I would say this is going to be a true but epic story.
This could only happen to Alexander.
Okay, so so here we are. We got an old car. I need to get some parts for it. And we're going to go back about 7 months to when I first got the car, so over spring, summer. And one of the things that was missing off the car was the stainless steel rocker panel trim off the bottom of the car. I found a site online, a French site, I'm not going to name names, but it was a site in France that sells those parts. And I placed an order online, and I waited, and nothing came. And I actually second guessed myself, did I actually order these things? Did I actually put the order in? So I went through and I couldn't find the receipt for it. So I thought, well, you know, maybe I didn't order it. So I went back online and I ordered another one. We have a wild dog running around. The dog just had a bath. He just had a bath, and so he goes crazy when he has a bath. So back to the story. So stainless steel trim for the bottom of the car, a little trim piece. I ordered some, but then I thought maybe I didn't. And anyway, so I ordered some others. And the second set I ordered arrived safe and sound. Fast forward a few months, and I get a box in the mail from France. Now, these stainless steel trim pieces are probably about 6 feet long or so, and they're on each side. It's a very specific type of box that these things would fit inside of. The box that shows up is from France. It says on the waybill, stainless steel trim, and the box is about that big. It's about like maybe 1.5 feet by a foot and a half.
Yeah, it said trim on the box.
And it said trim on the box. I'm like, well, this is weird. I knew right away it was going to be a mix-up because I haven't ordered any other parts for that vehicle yet. So I look at the label. It's addressed to me. It's in one of those little, okay, I'm going to set this up. It's a cardboard box. It's the wrong size. It's the wrong size. And it has one of those like waybills that's stuck on, you know, like it's in a little plastic bag that's sticky on one side. That's where my information is in that, okay? Before I tell the rest of the story, I want you to know that I did not order the item which I was about to find. It's important for you to know that now. And if there's young viewers watching, yeah, anyway.
Maybe just censor what you're going to say.
Just do a little less, nah. So, this box, I open it up. And I see a big round something that looks like it's black vinyl or leather. And I'm like, well, this is weird. I'm like, okay, it's a French car part. I'm like, maybe this is like upholstery fabric or something. So I peel the plastic. It's inside the little clear plastic. I peel it and I open it up, and what pops out? It's the world's most offensive looking S&M mask. It's a bondage mask, and it's made of latex. It has no eyes. It has little like cat ears on it, no ear holes to hear from. And it has like this long, if you guys ever remember the raccoons, there was a cartoon in Canada called The Raccoons. Anyway, it had like a long snout, rubbery snout. I'm like, what the heck is this? And a part of me at Halloween thought I was going to open it and be like, hey guys, look at this new Halloween costume came in the mail. And I thought, no, that's too far. And I actually, so I open it, I'm like, what? And so I'm thinking, I freaking got scammed.
Yeah.
I got scammed. Some French person there had French parts. I'll send them this instead. And so I write the company and I don't hear anything back. I'm like, oh no, this isn't good. But then I look at reviews and it's like a real company. So the reviews say. Yeah. So I call up my credit card company. Keep in mind, I have to describe what the situation is to every person I talk to. So, so I I phone up my credit card company and I say, I need to report a problem. I got, go get it. It is actually in the garage and I'm not going to get it because I don't know who's going to watch this later on.
We may get in big trouble from YouTube.
Yeah. So anyway, I phone up my credit card company and they're like, well, what's the problem? And I'm like, I need to speak to the fraud department. And so I get the fraud department on the phone after many hours of being on hold. And I'm a little annoyed. And I said, you know, I've been on hold for 5 hours and somebody sent me the wrong thing. And they're like, well, we're going to need an exact description of what they sent you. I'm like, oh no. And so I'm like, well, it's a rubber mask. They're like, a Halloween mask? I'm like, no, it's not a Halloween mask. It's for other things. They're like, what are you talking about for other? Can you describe it, please? We need to know so that when we reach out to the retailer that we didn't have the right thing in the box. And so I describe it as it was. It's as though the Nazis
Wow.
because it had a gas mask evil, like it's what Darth Vader is into in his downtime. It's like quasi evil. It's quasi evil. So it's freaky looking anyway. So I have to go get the thing because they want to get the information off of the way bill so that they can put a report in and I can get my money back or whatever, right? So I go and get it and they're like, can you please remove it from the box and inspect it? And I'm like, oh my God, are you kidding me? So, so I pull the thing out of the box again and I look inside the neck part and there's another piece of paper. So I pull the piece of paper out and I'm thinking, well, this is going to be like just a photocopy of somebody giving me the bird or something. No, in fact, it's somebody else's name and address who probably actually ordered this thing. Somehow, this guy's parcel ended up with my way bill on the outside of his box, and I can only assume he got stainless steel trim. I would say that his weekend was ruined a lot more than mine was. He had a real wild party planned for that weekend. But this is the thing. His name and address and everything is on that paper, and I'm if you're watching this, you can the credit card company said you need to hang on to it for a period of 90 days because the retailer could actually ask for it back. So I have this thing in my garage, and we had this inspector come through the other day, and I was thinking, what if I left that out or open or anything? And anyway, it's the most ridiculous thing I've ever had in the mail. But the worst part is I was imagining that guy like anticipating like, ooh, Saturday's a coming, masks in the mail. And then he gets this big long box. He's like, well, that's weird. Could you imagine? Would you even phone in? Like, could you imagine if you're the guy who didn't get your mask in the mail and have to report it lost in the post office, that you're like, I'd like to report a missing parcel? I think he would just let it go. I think he would probably just, but here's the thing. He paid, once I know that the money is cleared and back in my account, once I get the okay from the bank, I'm going to send it to the person who it belongs to. Somebody said, oh, you should call him and you should tell him that, you should call the guy and tell him that you got his mask. No, I don't want that guy knowing who I am or where I live or that I've seen his things. And even worse than that, yeah, I know what he's into. I mean, hey, who am I to judge?
Christmas card, Amy said.
Yeah. I'll send him a picture of like an old lady doing this, like the scold with the finger out, like, like with the white hair, like one of the Golden Girls. Anyway, so yeah, the only reason I have it right now is that I am forced to hang on to it, because I can't mail it back to the guy until I know the money's back in the account. So I have a very expensive, that didn't show up at the auction. Could you imagine?
Oh my gosh.
Only used once. Melissa, in a way, I'm glad that you didn't open that box. You'd be like, I don't know what you have planned for the weekend, but I am not involved.
That would be all sorts of bad.
That would be all kinds of bad news. So anyway,
very claustrophobic.
I can't imagine a worse mix-up than that. Because I mean, naughty things in the mail you can understand, but that's like next level stuff. So yeah, it was $450, 450 euros. So over $500 mask got accidentally sent to me, and I'm sure he ended up with my stainless steel trim. I can only imagine how could you mix that up? Somebody must have peeled that thing off and been like, guess what this guy's getting? Maybe somebody at the sorting station recognized me and decided to play a joke on me or something. But anyway, that is so far to date the worst mail mix-up that I've ever had. And yeah. It is, I won't haunt your dreams with it because I don't want my fingerprints. If it ends up as part of a crime scene later, I don't want to have my DNA on it. Anyway, I don't know. So anyway, guys, that was
the moment I choose to like.
Weren't we just talking about Christmas like 5 minutes ago? and then we got into this topic. That's my fault because I promised a story.
Yep.
I wish this was a Josh story. I wish this wasn't true, but it is. It's totally true.
You know, you guys, we're friends with Josh, and there's sometimes when I'm watching his videos or live streams, and I'm not sure if it's the truth or not. I mean, some of them you can tell are just a bunch of baloney, but
yeah, Josh is a good storyteller.
yeah.
So next, we moving on from that, the things that are happening in our lives right now. One, there is Christmas coming, of course, and to coincide with Christmas, we lined up 2 auctions for the Christmas season. The first one is on now. It's on right now. Did you know? It's on right now. The first auction is on right now. And it ends December 3rd, and we're going to do a little check-in and see how things are doing on that sale right now. So when December 3rd comes around, incidentally, I will be going live. I'll be doing a live stream for a good portion of the auction, I think. And I'll just be kind of showing the screen as the auctioneer does his thing. And I guess I'll be doing my commentary and kind of about the items and I don't know, just telling weird stories. Maybe not that one. So yeah, we'll be going live on December 3rd to talk about the auction sale and that. And the second auction is coming up December 18th. And in the second auction, there's going to be a whole pile of antique toys. And that's actually another series, a little mini series, which is going to be, oh, thank you very much for the super chat. The next series is going to be starting on December 5th and then goes until about the 15th or so. And I bought a giant estate of old antique toys, and we already have an auction lined up to sell these items off on December 18th. So mark your calendars because there's a couple very exciting things coming up. And yeah, no, my birthday is December 5th. That's very close. Somebody said happy birthday December 2nd, but no, Sagittarian December 5th.
Do we have any blankets in the auctions?
Mm-hmm.
We do come across them.
No, I think I found some at the last house. Yeah, I think there are some wool blankets at the house. I don't know if they're bay blankets, but there are some antique wool blankets at the auction for sure. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to move the camera in closer to me. I'm going to tilt it as such and point it in this general direction. So this is...
She said, well, I was close.
There we go. So the auction is up right now, kauctions.ca. And going through some of the items, when I am sorting on the auction, I go to this category over here because I am interested to see kind of what the top items are. We'll get to that in a second. So it starts off with this big, really tall metal cast lamp and goes into the wooden ship. You know, a 12-foot python snakeskin for good measure. It's rolled up. I don't know. I guess you could make something out of it. A really long, you can make really long pointed shoes. Yeah, this is ours.
But I didn't even see that.
Yeah. Domino sets. I found so much stuff in this place that it's kind of crazy. You know, like all the things that I found that I thought were kind of interesting or worth selling separately. That's what I put up. What do I think Predator's going to go for? It keeps going up. I don't know. It's let's find out. Let's see what the top items are right now. I'm going to sort by, you can go in here and you can sort by bid amount descending. Bloop. And that tells you what the top items are. So the Predator is the top item right now, and he's $1,100. Now keep in mind that thing was 10 grand when it was new. So it's at $1,100 right now. And I don't know, what do you guys think? What do you think the Predator is going to sell for? Yeah, Kastner does ship to the United States, for those people asking. For something big like the Predator, maybe call them first. I'm sure it could be crated, but if you're going to bid on the big guy there, he's very heavy, probably 350 or 400 pounds. This is all Canadian dollars, yeah. And if you want, you can actually switch it to, I don't know where it is here. Oh yeah, right there under auction currency, you can switch it. I did stuff. I have to be signed in to do it. Anyway, you can switch, when you're logged in and bidding, you can switch it over to US currency. So the top things right now, the Predator, the ring, which is currently at $700. Bloop. That is a very pretty ring, actually. It's diamonds around the band, and it has 3 large diamonds in the center. Very, very nice. Oh, somebody says the Predator is going to go for $5,026. Somebody said $2,500. VIP says $6,000 maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. I've never sold a 7-foot tall Predator before. I do know that the auction house actually likes having it there. Let's have a look at it.
That ring wasn't Madame Rax. That was from the last house, right?
Yeah, the rings and stuff. But look at this is how he's made up. It's all gears and parts and chains. And when you zoom out, isn't that just the neatest thing? So he's currently at $1,100. I have a feeling he should go for something like $4 or $5 grand, I think. Because if you had to pay an artist to make that now, you'd be paying some pretty big money. So to get something like that is pretty nifty. Then we have the 10 karat gold with what I believe is a mystic opal. Some people thought Alexandrite, but I can't verify for sure what that is. The antique Derringer pistol. And then we have all sorts of other diamond rings. This is 375 Canadian is what, like $300 US? So that ring is just a few $100 right now. And what's got 5 diamonds with a nice big center stone. There are plenty of good rings in here. I did try and take the time, and I did diamond test these. I didn't say what the clarity was or anything like that, but
Yeah, they're not appraised.
they're not appraised, which is why they're just selling it unreserved. But I did try and get the sizing in there too. So size 9, 14 karat gold, 5 diamonds. Is Santa Claus going to visit your house?
Did you say size 9? Hold on.
Size 9, yeah, it was a big one.
That ring can be sized because it has a claw setting, so that can be sized. It doesn't cost as much when you're sizing down because they don't have to add any gold.
In fact, they're taking gold away. They should give you the gold back.
You can ask for it actually. If it's a considerable amount, they'll give you the piece of shank.
Yeah, see, this is an antique ring, and everybody was telling me, oh, I don't know what the stone is exactly. From what I saw online, it looked like it was maybe mystic topaz or opal. But a lot of people are saying, a lot of folks were saying that an antique ring like that could be Alexandrite. I don't know. It is a gold ring, 10 karat gold. It is an antique ring. And oftentimes antique rings were 10 or 9 karat. That's more common. It was less common to have 14 or 18 karat, just because I guess it was sturdier, maybe a little bit more common. We do have an antique 18 karat gold ring in here somewhere.
That ring is really nice though.
It is a very pretty ring. There's a couple of gold nuggets, which I just weighed because it's just gold. I don't know if it's melted down or what. It looks like they were collecting some stuff like that. There's an Omega cocktail watch with the box and the papers. And that's a nice ladies Omega. Omega, of course, being right up there with Rolex and other brands. This is a 14 karat gold. This is a Burke's ring. Oh, Vivian says, I think Predator's gonna go for 15 to 20,000. Well, that would be nice.
Right, Vivian.
That would be super nice. So this is, I think, emerald and diamonds in this one. Let's see. Emerald and diamonds, yeah, in a size 8. And Burke's is our kind of Canadian Tiffany, if that makes sense. It's a higher end company. This is a 14 karat gold ring. It didn't test as diamond. I don't know what it is, but it's got a jumbo clear stone in the middle of it. So don't know. 14 karat gold, you'd think they'd put a nicer stone in there, but nice ring either way. When it didn't test as diamond, or I wasn't sure, we just put clear stone. Anyway, it looks like most of the expensive items in the top bit of the auction are, of course, the jewelry. And look, there's the featherweight. Remember, everybody was asking me about that. Well, there it is. Melissa was trying to figure out which one to keep. She ended up keeping one, and we put the other featherweight sewing machine up for auction. Lots of people love these featherweight sewing machines because there are clubs and like sewing parties and groups and quilting clubs. And these are wonderful little sewing machines when they're set up properly. They're fantastic. They work just as good as the big ones. And it fits in a tiny little box. It folds up. This little portion here goes bloop and folds up, and it fits inside that carrying case. Did this one have accessories with it too?
Yeah.
So they didn't show it in the picture, but if you lift the lid, there's a tray with accessories
It
in
has
there.
its pedal and everything as well.
Yeah, it has the pedal and stuff. They just didn't. It didn't show everything. But yeah, the featherweights. If you have one in your house, those are the sewing machines that people are after. Featherweight sewing machines are one of the most
Sought after.
sought after. Yeah. Sorry, I was reading a comment at the same time. Kind of a James Bond sewing machine.
They're really cool. Both of the machines were really nice. It was hard to pick.
This is a surprise to me. There was a box of old PC video games, $180. But I do know that I had somebody reach out to me once. Maybe there's a title in here that's really rare, and I'm just, not up with what the maybe King's Quest people are like. Oh, I gotta have that. Whatever it is, there are actually people who will professionally stream these old video games, and people watch them play these old games. So probably if they're looking for content. So needless to say, most of the stuff in the top tier is jewelry. And of course we have the lovely Alice in Wonderland it's illustrated by Mabel Lucy Atwell. And that's what makes this one worth a lot more than other Alice in Wonderland books. It dates to it's 1910. So it's a very early edition, and it does have the outer cover on it still, albeit it has a couple marks on it. But what a beautiful little book to have, and such a cool little thing. So that's currently at $150. I believe it's actually worth about $350. So there's a little bit of room on, actually there's probably room on most of these things right now. And somebody was excited to get the Los Altos Python skin cowboy boots, $130. And we did put one of the guitars up too. There's a big amber with 18 karat gold ring. So lots of jewelry, lots of neat items. There's that big rack. Remember we found that in the garage?
Yep.
And it's a nice rack.
I like the Christmas tree.
Yeah, Melissa has been talking about this tree a lot.
Isn't there two of them?
Yeah, there's two of these.
But they ended up remaking them. I saw some.
Oh, this one has a little extra lights with it too.
But the original is so cool.
Yeah, the original's a lot more detailed than the remakes. These cute little ceramic Christmas trees are actually pretty popular right now. There are certainly lots of antiques and collectibles, I should say. So when I say antique, an antique is technically supposed to be 100 years old or older. So 1922 or prior would be an actual antique. There's Mrs. Beasley, still factory sealed. Her pull string, I put there, talk function not working. Maybe that's why she was never opened. But it is brand new in the plastic. It's never been out of the plastic. So if you remember having a talking Mrs. Beasley when you were a kid, well, there she is. And yeah, this might be a runaway at the sale. And I mean, in the sense that it might go for a lot more. This is a very popular doll for doll collectors. And to have it with the original packaging really puts it in a special sort of class and category. Could you imagine all those years and not one little girl decided to open that plastic and play with it? So she's pristine. It could be worth anywhere between $600 and $1,000 if you believe it. Currently bid to $120. So we'll see what that goes for. And of course there was airsoft BB guns in there, clocks, and oh, the Little House on the Prairie 55 DVD set, $110. You want every single episode of Little House on the Prairie? There you go. Even comes in a tiny little wagon-shaped container, I guess. I guess it's just printed on the box, but yeah, all sorts of really odd, unusual things. There are some newer watches that will show up at the end of the sale. Those are the only things in the sale that aren't mine, but it was a store that closed out that got tagged on to the end of our sale, but everything else in here is part of our auction. And things you probably saw me dig out of that house if you watched the sale. And I see our friends Bill and Bob and Diecast Dave are with us. Lots of friends joining us on today's live feed. And I'm just kind of going through and seeing, yeah, definitely all the jewelry is kind of getting up there. The lot of 1930s ornate Valentine's Day cards. And for those of you that watched the last video where I went through the postcards and that, most of that will be going through the December 18th auction because it came out of a different thing. Oh, I see. I have a question about a watch that belonged to my dad, a bull of a barrel watch from the 50s. Was it common to have a blue crystal on the watch? No. Blue crystal might have been for a specific purpose. It would be a little bit tough to see through blue crystal, I would think. It might have become hazy over the years. I'm not sure. Bulova make a good watch though. So even their tuning fork, very early battery operated watches are very, very good. Somebody said that the Little House on the Prairie DVD set sells online for about $250 US. So that's why it's kind of getting up there maybe. It was an Atari console with a couple games, boxes of vintage ornaments, little wind-up toys. Oh, and of course there's some of these ceramic panthers. There's a number of those in the sale. So if you want to go back to the 1950s and decorate your house in that fashion, well, you can do it right here with your authentic, large 1950s ceramic panther. Yeah, we have over 1,500 items in this sale. And when you think about that, some of the items that we have in the sale are not individual items. Some of them are just boxes full of necklace that you liked. Melissa really liked that. I'm going to show you this. It is sterling silver, but it's a very pretty, that is a going out somewhere fancy kind of necklace. Don't you think? I guess you could really wear it anywhere.
It actually looks nicer than
Yeah, they got to vacuum their busted little fuzzies on there. But that is
I thought it was our screen.
No, I cleaned the screen. But yeah, there's all sorts of stuff going through the sale. Oh yeah, a lot of Beanie Babies.
Yeah, that is a nice necklace. I have one like that.
And there's a couple of these sort of Gone with the Wind style
lamps. There's an auctioneer
lamps.
for this auction, right?
Yeah, the auctioneer is going to be, I think they kind of kick in around, they're going to come in just for a partial part of the sale. They're going to be doing auctioneering during the part where the jewelry comes up. So I guess around lot 3,600 or so. I wonder what lot number they started at. I should look and see. I'm going to scroll, make everybody really dizzy here. Yeah, this silver cuff bracelet's kind of a cool one too. That's actually heavy. I should have weighed it. Why is it not opening? Oh, there it is. That's a neat one. It's probably lagging because Melissa's on her computer and I'm on the iPad at the same time too.
I was gonna check to see if the kids were on theirs.
Yeah, we said to the kids, don't go on the computer so we don't lag and then here we are on multiple devices all at the same time. Oh, there's a big box of salt and pepper. You know what's funny? Melissa just said to me earlier today, she's like, do we have any salt and pepper shakers? We need one. I'm like, you'll never guess what I put through auction. A big box of salt and pepper shakers.
Because I had that salt grinder from Costco, and then when it ran out, I have salt, but nothing to put it in.
I don't know what this stone would be. Probably should have polished the silver up before we put these things through, but that's pretty neat. Is there a market for old train magazines? We have quite a few from the 60s and the 90s. Sadly, not really. No, in fact, there's not even much of a market for, I'm going to flip this back around. Look, I'm going to make everybody dizzy here for a second. There we go. The train market has left the station, unfortunately. There's not as many train collectors as there used to be. Everything kind of goes in cycles. And I was actually talking to my friend Scott about that earlier today because we were talking about old cars and how do you know what kind of old car to invest in? That in the 1980s, Model A's and Model T's were worth a fair bit of money because people who were a little older at that time had the money to buy one and they remembered them kind of from when they were kids, and so they bought them as nostalgia. Well, fast forward a number of years and you can buy probably a very nice restored Model T for US, probably $7,000 US would get you a nice Model T, where even in the 1980s, that would have been probably 15,000 or more. So they have not gone up in value. And the same unfortunately goes for, in some areas, toy trains, the market has shrunk a bit. And so by default, the things that aren't even the train, like the magazines, have unfortunately very little value. We even had model airplane magazines going back to the 1900s. and I had like a lot of 40 of them and beautiful artwork on the covers and stuff. And I think they all went for like maybe $20 for the whole box full. I was like, wow, that was a surprise, because I thought even just for the artwork, it was great.
I saved one of them and then it accidentally went in the box. I'm like, hey, where'd my magazine go? And I put it back in the box. Darn.
For watches, quality is always good. Quality is important. But the other thing that matters with watches is size. So 34 to 36 millimeter watch, which used to be sort of the standard for a watch back in the 50s and 60s, let's say, is considered a smaller watch now. And if you get into, if you go and look at like even a modern Rolex or something, those things are what, like 42 millimeter, or I don't know, they're big. They're a lot bigger than they used to be. And so a lot of the older watches actually aren't fashionable to wear on the wrist. That said, a vintage Omega Speedmaster is a good size. Those are popular. Old Rolex GMTs, Daytonas, and Explorers. I don't know. What am I thinking? Submariners. Those are always good. Quality always is the deciding factor. But you could have a Rolex that came out in the 1920s, and that's men's watches in the 20s and 30s were in fact very small. And they would even be considered small for a lady's watch now. And so those watches, although they are a Rolex, they will command some value because they are part of that pedigree and people collect them, but they're too small to really be worn kind of seriously. So they'll end up just in somebody's showcase or collection. But the watches you want to look for, I'm not even wearing one right now because I was out working on my car. Yeah, I scuffed up my knuckle. If that was my watch on my wrist, I would have scuffed it up too. The type of watches that you want to look for would be sport watches, things with lots of complications, like chronographs, anything that does a little bit more than just tell time. And it's always so funny that even if you talk about a high-end watch like a Rolex, it's an option to have that watch tell you what day of the month it is. And the reality is everybody has a phone nowadays that does all those things and more very accurately. But let's be honest, that's an accessory. That's a piece of jewelry. It is what it is. Yes, it has the function of telling you the time, but it is an accessory. And for a lot of guys, it's one of the only pieces of sort of jewelry or accessory that a guy will get. And so there's generally a splurge on a watch. That's still a statement piece. But a lot of people nowadays aren't even wearing watches. So who's to say where that market will go in the future? But I think that they're still relevant right now and still collectible.
Do you remember who the makers on the Panther was?
No. I don't know.
How large is large? Do you remember how big it is?
Like close to 2 feet long. Like it's pretty big. It's probably like 18 to 20 inches long, the Panther. When I say large Panther, yeah, they're probably 18 to 22 inches in length. It would have been the type that, you would have put on top of your wooden console TV and decorated your abode. It probably would look good on top of a fireplace or something too. But anyway, any other questions? I guess I can answer some questions. Do I have brain cloud storage? No, trust me, there's lots of things I forget. Many, many things that I forget. I think one of the things we saw in terms of trends, when we did the first auction from this house, we auctioned off a lot of really well-made furniture that sold for absolutely nothing because dark wooden antique furniture is really not in fashion at all right now. I mean, frankly, ideal in antiques, and we don't really have much of that type of furniture in our own house. We have a couple desks. Like my desk is from the early 1800s, as is Melissa's, the one in our room.
Yeah.
But, it's really, really specific, the things that will bring good value. Teak is very popular, of course. Mid-century, somebody says is going crazy. Oh, Mima sent $20. Thanks. Thank you very much. But then again, wooden furniture, ornate wooden furniture that would have been thousands of dollars years ago is just going for pennies on the dollar right now, just because they're not in fashion.
What time does the auction start on?
Usually starts at 10 or 11 a.m.
Oh yeah, I was just here.
I can look it up and find out. I was just on that page a second ago. The holiday antique curiosity sale. Auction starts in 1 day and 20 hours. Oh yeah, I guess it's starting on this Saturday.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow,
But what
wow,
time
wow.
does that make it?
Let's see. 11 a.m. Mountain Time.
Mountain time.
11 a.m. Mountain Time.
Can't say mountain time without having it as like a
Yeah.
prospector.
The types of antiques that are still like that uranium glass that I showed, the glowing green glass. If it's something really unique like that, then somebody said wear the mask during the auction. No, I like to be able to see and or breathe when I guess I'd be able to breathe through a little suction hole. Nope, that's not happening. I don't want to void the refund policy on that thing. Um, uranium glass, that's what I was talking about. That stuff sold really fast. I put that up for sale. I didn't want to sell it at auction because I didn't want you guys to get it damaged. That was the only thing I kept separate from all the other china that I had. But I listed it locally and it sold within an hour because it's still very popular, uranium glass. So certain things are still very popular. And who's to say, maybe antique wooden furniture will come back with, they'll have a show that'll do really well. It takes place in that period of time and somebody want to decorate that way. But the truth of the matter is that's why I always kind of focused on what they consider smalls. Collectibles, things you can put on a shelf, things you can decorate with. Those are the things that are of interest, I think, to a lot of people, to have statement pieces and not necessarily the furniture to sit on or to enjoy. I find that bookcases, like ornate bookcases and ornate shelving like that generally does pretty good. Like especially the lawyers' bookcases, barristers' cases, because they are functional, and you can put stuff in them or on them, like a panther. You could do that. What questions am I missing?
Vicky said, "Tell us about the throne chair."
Oh, well, it sold at auction. I think it went for like $500 or something. And that was probably, you look at First Dibs, and then that thing was going for like $3,000 to $5,000. Selling for and people asking is another story, right? And I am not the type of person, you probably noticed, I don't like to sit on things for very long. So, for me, when I get a big collection, it goes through auction, it's out the door. And I don't want to have to be sitting on things. I'm not a warehouse. The auction is my warehouse, and that stuff can't sit there forever either, so it's got to go. I'm just trying to see if there's any other questions. Yeah, First Dibs is never accurate. Let's see. Oh, predictions for Predator still coming in. That's very specific. 7,341. Did this turn into the prices right? Like you guys are guessing right down to the exact dollar. What do you think the Predator will go for? Says a fan in St. John's, Newfoundland. I don't know. I would think it's got to go for somewhere around $5,000 at least.
Okay, I'm gonna guess, and I bet that'll be bang on.
What?
You guys, we'll see. I'm gonna guess A300.
Oh, I like your guess better than mine.
So generally, I'm either completely way off, completely off, or like within $1. So
we'll see. I mean, we said we'll see at the same time. Somebody had a question for you, but I don't see what the other question was.
About if there was, I wrote, but I don't think they saw it. If I had any new recipes coming out. Yep. I haven't filmed anything lately, so I do have to film. It's been busy. I know everybody's busy. I just have to do it.
Somebody asked what my best flip from a thrift store was. Probably the best thing that I got from a thrift store was actually a Hot Wheel car. It was a rare redline Hot Wheel called the Sky Show Diora, and I bought it for I think 50 cents at that time. And I put it on eBay and it sold for $1,100. So that was probably the best flip I've had from a thrift shop. It's hard to find deals at thrift stores because I don't know about you guys, but I find for the most part, they actually price stuff for more than retail for the most part. They have people that will look everything up on eBay or look things up online. That's their job, is to go through the stuff that's donated and look for treasures. And so sometimes the prices aren't all that amenable for flipping, but that's the best one I actually found. They missed one. But I was chatting with a fellow that is a viewer of mine, and someone he knew, a good friend of his, I guess, they found they found what's called a Patek Philippe wristwatch for, I think it was $29 or $34 at a Goodwill, and the watch ended up being worth about $10,000. So if you know your brands and you know what to look for, then you can do quite well. And something like a watch like that, that's the sort of thing that you really have to know your names. Somebody would know Rolex, and they might know Omega, but they wouldn't know, Patek Philippe or some of the higher end brands. And yes, there are watches that are more expensive by far than a Rolex. Rolex is a decent watch. I'll probably get heat for this. I don't think a Rolex is that much better of a watch than an Omega. I certainly don't think that either of those watches are really that much better than a good quality automatic Seiko.
I knew you were going to say Seiko.
Yeah.
But like the good Seiko.
Yeah, but the Seikos from the late 60s and early 70s are fantastic watches. They're beautifully constructed, the movements are lovely, and they're a fraction of the price of a Omega or a Rolex. But you're paying for the name, and that, the thing is that name, having a good name on a watch like that will help keep its value. And so even though a Seiko will keep the value to a degree, and certain ones are going up in value, it still probably won't compete with the bigger names out there. And plus, you think about it, like a brand new Rolex Submariner is probably north of $20,000 Canadian. And you have to pay extra if you want it to tell you not just the time, but have a date on it. There's so many other watches that'll do that for you, but you don't have a Rolex Submariner on your wrist, and that's a big deal for some people. When you look at things for investments, which I sometimes do, it does pay to invest in the better things, because there's always gonna be somebody out there who knows a quality name, or that brand has built up its value as much. Same thing would go for Mont Blanc pens, things of that nature too. The really high-end stuff that does pretty much what a normal, there's good quality pens you can get out there that will write as nicely as a Mont Blanc rollerball, but you won't have to pay the price for it. Anyway, boy, am I getting into some specific details right now. Cartier is a good watch, and Randy says, I have one from the 60s that doesn't work. Are they worth fixing? Yes, they're worth fixing. And if your Cartier isn't working, it's probably something simple like a balance staff or spring. Probably not going to cost you a whole bunch. Maybe a few $100s to fix, and you'll probably end up with a watch worth $1,000 or $2,000. So worth the investment. But if you had a broken Timex that wasn't, like a family heirloom or something, and it was broken, you just go buy another one, because you're going to spend the same amount of money, just about a few $100s to fix a broken one, and that's only be worth like 30 or 40 bucks when you're done with it. So I remember walking into a watch store, and this lady had brought in a pocket watch to get repaired, and they had charged her $1,100 to fix a pocket watch. Now, just so you know, that's outrageous. It's not like it was an antique fusee movement, chain drive sort of thing. It was a regular, like a Walton pocket watch, and it should have only cost maybe a couple $100s to fix, like maybe $150 to $200. And when I saw them giving her the bill for $1,100, I shook my head, I turned around on my heels, and I left, and I never went back. And I think that place is out of business now. But you can't, I don't know. What I'm saying is, don't overinvest in things unless it's completely sentimental, because you'll never see your money back out of it. Somebody said, are you going to buy a Tesla? I'm not convinced. I like the idea of an electric vehicle. I do, because I spend an awful lot of money on gasoline driving around and doing the things I do. But Tesla is a company. Yes, they've been around for a few years, but I'm not convinced of the build quality for various reasons. They had, when they were trying to ship cars in the last little while, they really scrimped on some building materials. So I saw online, this is not my personal experience, but it didn't seem to have the best build quality, and a lot of recalls, as people are saying. Plus, they're a little price prohibitive. And now that the bigger companies are coming on board with electric vehicles, I think that maybe one will come along that will actually suit our needs. What I need is like an SUV. Volkswagen is coming out with a I guess my niece and her husband got a Tesla. Alyssa doesn't like it. I guess I'll find out. So Peter and Alyssa end up with a Tesla. It's an interesting concept. I like the idea. I think it's good. And for us, for our needs, it would make sense because I do have an electric car charger in our house. We built it with the house, and we are getting solar panels here. So I would be able to get basically around for free almost. In that sense, it would make a lot of sense. But the main reason I probably wouldn't buy a Tesla right now is that they don't make a vehicle that's big enough for what I do. Volkswagen's coming out with the new Volkswagen bus, which is going to be fully electric and a 7-passenger. Something like that would probably be better for me or Volvo has one coming out like a little SUV. I need something that's got a little bit more space because I'm always hauling stuff around. So it wouldn't make sense to go get a car that you can't really fit too many people in. Let's see. I know a lot of people really love their Teslas, and to be honest with you, I've never driven one, so I can't say how it drives. I've seen people having like the G-force blowing their face back, and to be honest with you, Elon Musk has it right in a sense that if you're going to appeal to somebody with a car, you've got to make it fun, and he's done a good job of making it like, Teslas are kind of a fun vehicle. So I think that there's that. But
it's hard in a colder climate though as well because your battery life goes down. I mean, the amount of time you have, and we have very cold.
That wouldn't stop me.
I know, but you on the side of the road would stop you.
No, because we'd be charging it in a heated garage. And when I go somewhere, I'm not there for typically too long. Unless I've got to go stay somewhere overnight, then that can become an issue. But
you just have to get a gas generator to charge your Tesla.
Melissa's not convinced. Okay, this is where my train of thought is right now. I know at some point I'm going to have to get a newer vehicle because just today I had one of the most frustrating days with my truck. My Chevy, or the GMC truck, the square body I had, was running perfectly, but I got the radiator in my Ford and I thought, okay, well, the Ford's back on the road and I didn't really need this other truck. So I sold the perfectly running GM truck with an excellent heater to keep the Ford. And so I've been driving the Ford around again like normal, and it's been okay. The heater doesn't work quite as good. I think I might need to put the old trick where you put a piece of cardboard in front of the radiator. I think I got to do that. But that aside, I didn't freeze to death. It was just not as warm as I would have liked it. We're dealing with pretty cold temperatures right now. But today I got up, I got my gear on. I was going to go to the gym and exercise. I worked myself up that I was going to drive over to the gym and I was going to exercise today. And the truck wouldn't start. Oh, that's weird. So I thought, well, maybe I've got a clogged fuel line. And what was like minus 30 or something today?
Yeah.
Minus 30.
It's cold. Cold,
right? And the truck doesn't fit in my garage. And even if it did, it's outside right now and I can't start it to drive it in the garage. I got nothing to tow it in there with anyway. So I'm outside in the cold, take the fuel filter off up by the carburetor. It's clogged. So I go, okay, sure, we'll clean that out. Clean it out, put it back in, still won't start. Take the fuel line off, try cranking it, and no gas comes out. My fuel pump kicked the bucket, and I was able to crawl underneath the truck, and I was able to get the old one off. But there's a couple bolts that are really tough to get to. This story might seem really boring for some of you guys, but bear with me. It gets more boring. But so to get these bolts off, I can get a socket on there, but it's very, very finicky and very fussy. So I get the old one off, I get a new fuel pump, I go to put it on, but to get the thread started, I actually have to take my glove off, stick my hand through this little metal area and try spinning the bolt on. Well, the fuel pump is not going on well. The metal is freezing cold because it's minus 30. So my hand is actually getting, I think I got frostbite. I don't know if I got frostbite or not, but my hands were becoming painful. So I could go out there, I could try and work for like 5 minutes and warm up. So I set up a light under there, still was too cold. And I got to a spot where I almost had it on and then the gasket ripped and I was like, that's it, I'm done. I almost threw the darn thing into the neighbor's yard. I was almost like, ah! Like an angry pitch. I don't usually get angry unless it's at myself, and I was not happy.
No.
I was salty, you might say. I was not having a great day. So I am just going to get it towed into the shop tomorrow and get them to put it on. I've got the part, I got the gas. I hate to pay somebody else to do something that I know how to do, but I can't do it myself right now because it's not in the garage, it's too cold, and I need a vehicle. So this brings me to the epiphany I had while I was lying into the truck, relearning and revisiting some 4-letter words that I had stored in my head, that I realized that maybe I should just get myself a reliable vehicle. Truth be told, the vehicle that I would want would be probably a new Ford Bronco.
As long as it's good to drive, like in the winter.
No, but I want to get a new Ford Bronco. Yeah, it would be good in winter. It's a 4x4. I want to get the new style Ford Bronco, the 2-door, but I want to give it that like late 70s black with sunset kind of decal package on it. I really like that. I like the same body style as my Ford truck. You could get a Bronco in that same body, and it would have the it would be black with sort of like that yellow and red kind of sunset looking. I had a Hot Wheel car like that. Maybe that's what it was. In the 80s, I had a Hot Wheel car like that, and I really, really liked it. I always thought it was cool. And yeah, so I was thinking, oh, maybe the Bronco. But you know, the Bronco is really expensive, like really expensive. And I thought, well, maybe a hybrid would be good. They haven't come out with one yet. So I'm basically just waiting right now for the right thing to come around. And if whatever I get, I want to make it something a little bit more special. I would even be happy with more. Everybody liked Back to the Future for the DeLorean. I was more about Marty McFly's truck, if I'm honest. Marty McFly's truck was like, you know, had a lift kit on it. Biff had freshly polished it. Had the roll bar with the fog lamps on the bar. So it was a neat looking truck. So yeah, I think I don't know. I want to get something kind of cool that's new but has that retro vibe, and that Bronco kind of fits that bill. It's based on the style of the late 60s Bronco that was out, the Series 1, the first generation Bronco. So it shares a lot of the same styling cues. So we'll see. I don't know. I just, you know, I hate to say it, it troubles me that it's a Ford. I drive a Ford, but my Ford is a real Ford. My Ford is built out of recycled Sherman tank metal, and it is solid, and it has real stainless steel for trim. And I was looking at Zenovia's truck, and her truck is only a few years old, but all the chrome on it is plated plastic. And the chrome is peeling off of the rear view mirrors and everywhere that it's plated, and it's rusting. And so part of me is like, I like the look of the new Ford Bronco, but on the other hand, I saw about a 3 or 4 year old Ford truck, and it looks rough. So I'm a little nervous about their build quality, but I guess maybe if you wash it regularly and take care of it, maybe it'd be okay, but I don't know. We'll see.
Somebody earlier said they're still getting over us saying that we had minus 30. It's going to minus 42. So, and that's where we even out minus 40 and minus 40. But that's 10 above. If we had 10 above, I think most of us would be in shorts. There's no way we'd be in the house.
Yeah, John says the Broncos are really a lot of money and they look kind of small. They are a smaller vehicle. And I don't know how great they'd be on fuel either. So that this is the thing. I've got this electric vehicle charger in my garage. If they came out with a electric Ford Bronco or even a hybrid Ford Bronco, I'd be pretty tempted. But for the time being, I am just, if there's anything I've learned in my old age, it's to be patient, because the thing you're looking for will come around, or it will go down in value for the most part. Not always. There was a time about 25 years ago that I really wanted a 1960, I think it was a 65 Maserati 3500 GT. No, it was earlier than that. It was about a 57. Teresa, thank you very much for the super chat. I really wanted a Maserati 3500 GT. I had a 6 Series BMW, which they call a shark nose. There was a company in the United States called Gullwing Motors, which some of you have probably been on the website and look, because they have a lot of sort of, you know, project cars and classic cars and other things. They had one of these cars, and it was an overall okay shape, but it was missing the windshield, the Maserati. They were asking $3,500 for it at that time. I offered to trade my 6 Series straight across, and they said, sure. But they said, we'll do it, but you're going to have to pay to ship your vehicle here and this one back. And at that time, money was really tight. I didn't have money for anything like that. And so I wasn't able to get it. That car now is well over $100,000. I think it's closer to $200,000. So sometimes the price of things doesn't go up. Somebody said enough of the car chat. Well, suggest a topic then. Don't just complain. Didn't your mother teach you? Don't complain. You have to make a suggestion at the same time. What would you like to talk about? Who didn't want to talk about cars anymore? Somebody said, I wish you would have... Sarah says, new topic, please. Yes, Sarah. You may suggest a topic. We can go back to talking about sex masks if you like.
Wow.
That was the topic from earlier. Maybe you missed that one. We can go back to that.
My necklace is, I don't know if you guys can see it, it's little mountains. And Abigail and Alexander picked it on the top of a mountain.
I did, yeah. Yeah, that's when we did I took the kids up to the top. Melissa's not a big fan of heights.
Nope, I would say not a fan at all.
Also not a fan of small spaces.
Nope.
So a gondola trip up to the top of the
I did
mountain.
get on one of those small little gondolas before, but I fought my way off and cried at the bottom. I'm that person.
She actually created a scene.
Yeah, they got me a tea to stop scaring the other people lined in the line.
I had bought tickets for me and the boys when they were little to go up to the top, and for Melissa. And then me and the kids got on it. Melissa looked at it and went, nope. And then she said, everybody get off. You're not going on that thing. It's not safe. And I'm like, it's totally safe. I've been on this thing a ton of times.
This girl that looked like she was maybe 17, she's like, I checked those cables personally trying to reassure me. I'm like, oh.
That just made it worse.
Better.
Anyway, so I said, I'll take the boys up to the top because you stay here. Yeah. But apparently, while we were gone, we went up there. It was a cloudy kind of day, so it wasn't the best time to go to the top of a mountain anyway. I went up, I said, we probably shouldn't take too long up here because Mom's probably worried about us and we'll go back down. This is in Jasper. Oh, yeah. Banff. Sorry, yeah. Banff.
The little ones.
It was
not
a smaller
the
one in Banff.
You can only fit 4 on there, I think.
Yeah, they have a restaurant up at the top. And anyway, so you get up to the top of the mountain and you're like, yeah, it's a mountain, but we couldn't see much. It was foggy. So I get back on, we take the kids back down and I see a huddle of people around Melissa consoling her. I'm like, what is happening? Melissa had... I know that you were just worried about us.
There wasn't a group consoling me at that point because I already had a tea and a book and
there was something happening down there.
They were trying to keep me calm. I thought for sure they were all goners.
We didn't see the guy. I didn't see a guy walking up behind you with a taser on a stick.
It was close.
It was probably close. So needless to say, I've never asked or tried to get Melissa to go on a gondola since. Yeah.
Yeah.
When are you going to put out another vlog?
That is a great question.
Melissa has 10 billion hours of footage that she's not edited into anything. So maybe instead of doing this, we should be getting you to edit your vlog.
No. Yeah, right after this, I have 12 gifts to wrap.
Yeah, there you go. Shirley says, I can't believe that I caught a live stream. Well, we can't believe you did either. Patrick's on right now. Does the ice cream shop stay open in winter? Oh, yes. Let's talk about that. We rented out our old store to 2 different businesses. One, Twice Cream, which has been open now since summer. And the other is Sabor de los Andes. And Sabor de los Andes should be opening hopefully just in the new year here around January. They're not open just yet because they're doing some major renovations to our old space to make it into a functioning restaurant, which meant they had to do a lot of work in terms of bringing it up to code. The ice cream shop, however, they've been up and running, and to answer your question, yes, they stay open all year round, and they invested some of their summer profits into an espresso machine. And so they are doing coffees and lattes and hot chocolates and stuff, so folks in the neighborhood can stop in there and get a coffee or drink, and or ice cream still. I mean, it's always ice cream time. It doesn't have to be...
Well, they also sell it by is it the pints that come in the little...
Yeah.
Oh, you guys, if you're not following them on Facebook, their ice cream makes me so hungry watching them make it.
Well, they custom blend all of their ice cream, custom make it.
I think they have gingerbread and I don't remember what I watched them make, but it looked so delicious.
Yeah, he does a really nice one with spearmint too, which is really good.
Well, they change them up every month. There'll be different ones that you can get. So,
Yeah. So if you're in the Edmonton area or passing through, stop by our old stomping grounds and say hi to Romeo, who's probably working the desk. and go grab an ice cream from him. And you can see the little space that I built. And
an espresso now.
you know, I am
Or an espresso.
as sad as I am some days that I don't have a store. And yes, there are days when I wake up and I go, you know, I'd really like to just have a shop again and be a retailer. I feel that the restaurant and ice cream shop will better serve that community, and ultimately that's more important. So all these memories, and people have been getting their wedding pictures taken in front of the ice cream shop.
Yeah.
Somebody actually got married at the hall across the street and got their wedding pictures taken in front of our old store. It was really neat. So lots of stuff going on there, but
Yeah, I think it's nice having Alexander here, especially on days like today where the roads were awful. I'm glad that he didn't have to drive all the way over there.
somebody said, did you see a thing on videos that say like, you've just won a telegram thing, like,
Yeah, that doesn't sound like us. There's a reason.
send me a telegram
Yeah.
message, you want a prize, that's fake. I guess they do that on a lot of channels, but they're so,
Especially right now during the holidays, a lot of YouTube channels will be like, you just won a contest, message me on Telegram. We don't have a Telegram, so that's not us.
I wouldn't say that I would never do a store again. That's the second business I've had. Both I would deem successful. The first business we had, the toy store. Actually, I shouldn't say Curiosity Inc. is still a business.
Yeah,
It's just not a storefront, and we are still a business that buys and sells things. So I didn't shut my business is still going. I'm just doing the buying and selling through auction. But whether all I've changed is how I distribute my items, really. You know, we ended up, I think I said before, like with the store, we were warehousing a lot of stuff unnecessarily long, you know, just for the sake of making the store look cool. And then I would want to do an auction sale. I'd clear a bunch of stuff out and go buy more things. So I found a lot of time was invested in me just stocking those shelves. And my time, if you're gonna try and improve your business, that's the funny thing is that you look at your business model and you go, I guess I can talk about this now. I looked at it like the business was me, the store was me. And you guys have heard me say it before, I was really worried about burdening my family, God forbid something should happen to me, with a whole bunch that they would have to sell and deal with. And yeah, the things I miss, Jim says, I bet you miss the kids coming through. I do miss that. But they're also, on that note though, Jim, that the kids that went to my store for candy are now able to go for candy and ice cream next door anyway. So they still have that in their area. It's just not me there. But when I realized about the business, and I was a business person prior to having my store, is that you have to look at things objectively. You can't just be super passionate about something to the point where it's not going to make sense. So I was the main person in the business. I didn't have anybody to really take the reins. My kids aren't really super interested in that kind of stuff. So it's not like I was building a business to pass along to my kids for eternity. We're trying to make sure they have an education and do things that they're passionate about in life. It wasn't something that would be easy to franchise. You know, you build up a business and you build up a good name and a reputation, as we did. It's not that I could easily open stores in other areas. So you're limited to being in the same location, more or less, or expanding to a bigger location, but you're still the one who's driving the business. That basically made it so that I was saddled to that location, and I probably would have had a difficult time expanding or growing that particular business model. So if I were to be a retailer again, and I may be a retailer again at some point, it would have to be something that could be a transferable business model that could be resold or repackaged, or that somebody else could take over. Because even if I were to sell that store, let's say, if I would have listed my business for sale, a couple things. One, we wanted to keep the business going, but I wanted to sell online. So there would have been that conflict. They wouldn't have been able to use my name. But also, you're asking them to buy an awful lot of inventory, hundreds of thousands of dollars investment in inventory, which is way too much inventory for a normal person to have. Most retail stores, I would say, probably sitting on maybe 20 to 30 grand of inventory that aren't an antique shop like that, because you're looking at shirts or giftware and things, and you could basically fill your whole store for probably, let's say 20 to 40 grand for a small, like a 2,000 square foot store. So most people aren't going to walk in and buy the contents of your building and buy your business out, and then they're going to be the one who has to learn that business. So it was probably not, I could see the writing on the wall that it probably wasn't going to be something that I could do much. I could make it as great as I could make it, and I could keep running it. But if you want to actually build and grow a business and be able to transfer it or sell it, it wasn't a great model for that. So I'm able to do the things I like to do right now, and I don't have the storefront. I don't have the expense of the storefront, and there we go. So there we are.
And you're freer
Yeah.
in a way. You still have videos and pics and sorting. And
Oh, I've been busy, and some days it feels like I'm more busy than when I had the store because I'm able to go out and do things that I wouldn't have had the time to do.
Well, this
before.
is a crazy job. Like I mean, it's something that you enjoy, but you're working harder than I think a lot of jobs we've ever had.
When you work for yourself, you work harder than anybody would if they're an employee. For
sometimes we'll get comments like, "Why don't you get a real job?" And it makes me almost laugh every time. If only they realized a real job would be a break from this job. A real job.
April says, where do we get the socks from? It was a company called Blue Q, like the letter Q, Blue Q.
Yeah.
That's who made the sarcastic and witty socks and oven mitts and other things we used to sell.
I have one of those oven mitts. I took one that has a lady serving pie saying, "You want a piece of this?"
You know what's funny is that we built a good antique store, arguably, right?
Yeah.
And it did well, and we had good business through the shop. And I'm talking about storefront because, again, my business is still running right now. But then we also opened that other side, and we did a gift shop over there, which also did really well.
Yeah.
But the challenge was that the gift shop started to become more popular than the antique store. And so things like the socks and the oven mitts and the household stuff were starting to outpace the sales of the antiques. And I think that was one of the tipping points where it was like, well, I'm an antique store, and the gift side is becoming more successful in some senses than the antique side. So I don't know. There's a lot of decisions brought me to where I'm at, but sometimes it's good to take a step back, focus on other things, and then really put your head into what you're going to be doing.
I'm not sure why the comments aren't showing on mine, but I can see them going on yours.
Yeah, they pop up on mine. But guys, boy, we've been on for 77 minutes.
Cool.
That's a long live chat.
And my computer lived through it.
Yeah, no, Kastner Auctions actually they changed hands a couple years ago. So they have a new owner, and it's under new ownership for the last 2-3 years. So no, I don't think they're looking to sell. And I don't know that I want to be an investor in an auction house. There will probably be a point that comes in my life when I'm not as interested in flipping as much stuff as I've been flipping. Or if I do, I'd rather move into bigger, more interesting things. It takes a lot of time to sell a lot of stuff for $1. But that was one thing maybe that I learned from working at Apple, or I don't know, is that, you have smaller items, higher price point, more profit. And you could spend an awful long time going through thrift stores and trying to make $1 here or $2 there. But, where the real money to be made is if you buy something that's worth like $5,000 and you only paid $2,500 for it. Well, then you're talking about thousands of dollars in profit, and that could be very difficult to do if you're doing smaller things. So we'll see. We'll see what the future holds. I don't really know what the future is going to hold right now. But I do know that we have 2 big auction sales happening right now. And that was a big flip. Actually, you talk about buying bigger things. Buying the contents of a property like that is buying a bigger thing. I just didn't go there. I did go there the first time and just buy a few things, but that's only because they weren't prepared to sell me everything at that point. But I went back and bought everything. An investment like that, I guess we'll see how we do. We invested over $20,000 in all the stuff that's there, and we'll know after this auction sale whether it will pay off. A lot of it will probably depend on our good friend Predator too, because every time he goes up by like $1,000, that takes another $1,000 off of what we have to make back. So we already made 10 back off of the furniture. So really, the way I factored it in with the travel and all the other stuff, we probably need to make about 15 grand back to be square. And then hopefully we'll get some good profit on top of it. But we'll see.
You mean 15 additional to the 10 that we already made?
15 additional to the 10, yeah.
On this auction.
On this auction sale, and then we'll see where we go. But you guys are coming along for the ride. We'll see how it does. And if you're interested in watching and following along to see how this all plays out, you can go to kauctions.ca and look for the holiday curiosity sale, which has all of the stuff that we found at the last hoarded house that we cleared out. And you'll be able to follow along and see what Predator sells for. We'll be going live December 3rd, so you guys will be able to watch along with the auction or participate if you like. They do ship all over the world, so if you are interested in some items, go ahead and bid. They will likely be able to ship it. The only thing I would say with something big like Predator, or like the pallets full of antique teacups in China, maybe contact the auction house on that stuff first, because that might be local pickup. But there are places that can crate and pack and do things for you. So maybe if you need a Predator in your life, that sounds wrong. If you ever, maybe call the police if you have a Predator in your life. But if you want a Predator statue, this might be a great chance to get one, and there are probably places that could palletize it for you and get it shipped out. So guys, kauctions.ca, December 3rd is the sale. It's just a couple days away from the time this video posted. I'll be going live on that day, and we'll know then if this all paid off. So let's find out. Let's see how things go. And you guys have a wonderful night. We'll see y'all soon. Thanks for watching. And as always, bye for now.
Good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.